Hello students, hope you all are well. Student, today we are going to start our geography next chapter, land, soil, water, natural vegetation and wildlife resources. I know student, what you are thinking. You are thinking that what we are going to study in this chapter. Student, earlier in your first chapter you have studied about the resources, in which you have studied our first natural resource. That in this chapter we will learn about these natural resources, which are land resource, soil, water resources, natural vegetation and wildlife resources. Let's have a short look upon our topics and subtopics. This chapter is divided into 4 parts, means 4 topics, in which we will study few subtopics. So our first topic is land, in which we will study about the subtopic land uses and conservation of land resources. Our next topic is soil, in which we will study about the factors of soil formation and degradation of soil and conservation measures. Our third topic is water. Already you have studied many things about the water, but in this chapter we will study few subtopics of water, in which we will study problems of water availability and conservation of water resources. Our next topic is natural vegetation and wildlife. In the same, we will study 2 subtopics, distribution of natural vegetation and conservation of natural vegetation and wildlife. So let's start our first topic, land. What is land? Students, as we know, land is among the most important natural resource. It covers only about 30% of the total area of the earth's surface, and all parts of the small percentage are not habitat, means nobody is living in that areas. Students, as I told you, land is a resource which belongs to a biotic resource, which covers about 30% of the total area of the earth's surface, and 90% of the world population occupies only 30% of the land area. The remaining 70% of land is uninhabited. Land is unevenly inhabited due to various factors of land and climate, water, fertility of soil. Students, as you have seen, the topography of our land is not same in every place. Somewhere it is steep slopes of the mountains, and somewhere it is deserted areas. Somewhere it is thickly forested and somewhere it is plains. So, if the land distribution is uneven, so how the human beings are using the land? So, let's see the first topic of land, land uses. As you can see in this given picture, in the whole world the land is using for different uses, like somewhere it is using for cropland, somewhere for pastures, and somewhere for forest, and somewhere the human beings are using the land for their living. Human beings thus use land as a resource for production as well as residence and recreation. Thus, the building of your school, roads on which you are going to travel, parks in which you play, fields in which crops are grown, and the pastures where animals graze represent different uses to which land is put. We can classify the land on the basis of ownership as private land and community land. Private land is owned by individual, whereas community land is owned by the community for common uses like collection of fodders, fruits, nuts or medicinal herbs. But land use has been changing over the years. Human population has been increasing at an alarming rate, and so has its demands of land. Humans have modified many parts of land to meet their needs. As a result, the landscape has changed. Land degradation, landslides, soil erosions, and many more are the major threats to the environment because of the expansion of agriculture and construction activities. So, what are the causes of land degradation and how we can conserve the land resources? Let's see in our next subtopic, conservation of land resources. So, what are the causes of land degradation? Students, here are few causes due to that now land is degraded. First is deforestation. As we know, in deforestation we are cutting more and more trees, and it is the main reason for the land degradation. Second, the excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides. The overgrazing, salination, waterlogging, desertification, soil erosion are some main important factors due to which now the land is degraded. So, what we have to do? We have to conserve our land resources, and how we can do it, let's see. Conservation. As we know, the meaning of conservation is to protect something. So, how we can protect our land? The best way to conserve our land resource is afforestation, in which we can plant more and more trees. The second way is to proper management of grazing and wasteland, means we have to manage the pasture areas for grazing of animal. Third way to conserve our land resources is to regulate use of chemical pesticides and fertilizers. In that way, we can conserve the soil fertility. More ideas to conserve our land resources are the disposal of hazardous radioactive waste into the soil must be prohibited. By reusing and recycling of solid waste such as paper, metal parts, plastic, glass articles, we can conserve our land. And by educating, informing and alerting all landholders about various aspects of this precious resource and their sustainable use. So students, here our first topic is complete. We will know more about this chapter in our next video. So keep watching S.st. Zone.